behind the iPhone.
Hey, Steve. Hey, Perry.
Cool.
Everybody checking in?
He'll be moderating today. So when you leave a live chat message, James will read it to me, and then I can answer. And also James can answer from behind the camera. And of course, Hudson.
Yep, we did, Perry. We turned it on. You should see us. It says live. Anyone else see us? Hudson's here. Karla's here. Wohop t-shirt, Wednesday.
Good. So all set? Everyone's seeing us? It's streaming, okay?
Yep. Hey, hi. Yes, we see you. Perry saying good.
That's good, because sometimes the internet connection can be spotty. So anyway, today's topic for our first live stream discussion chat will be about the future of small businesses in New York City, because a lot of people have been asking us what our opinion is about,
Owen's checking in.
Oh, cool.
I won't interrupt.
About the situation, because it's a serious situation, because so many small businesses closed in 2020, and already now in 2021 we've heard more announcements, and it's because of the pandemic. I mean, James and I first started documenting small mom and pop businesses almost over 25 years ago, so it's been a really, really long time. And when we first began documenting them, we weren't that worried about their survival. I mean, it was more curiosity that we were like, oh, look at this small business. We really love the hand-painted signs and the neon signs that they had in the window, because we come from a background from graffiti, and graffiti is all about the lettering style. So we were always looking at the lettering of these storefronts, and that, gave the genesis of why we started documenting them. Because what happened is, over the years, we began to notice that they were slowly disappearing. And the reason being is, we also decided to interview the store owners and kind of find out, hey, why is this store closing and this one's still in business? What's their secret recipe? Did they have a secret recipe? Well, what was the reason? And the main reason why a store would close, and this is coming from the business owners, not something that we just came up with on our own. This is from, you could say, the horse's mouth, the owner themselves. They would say that their business was in jeopardy because they didn't own the building that they were located in.
Some people are saying just a little louder.
Oh, okay.
Guys, we're just getting started. I know I sound like I'm in a tunnel back here.
Yeah, I can definitely be louder.
Yeah, Hudson gets the couch. I get back here.
Yeah, I'm not using a microphone. We're just streaming off the microphone.
I'll move it a little closer.
Oh, good.
Tell us, guys, if this works a little better.
Yeah, we're in a large room.
Yeah, it's a big cavernous room.
How's that? Is that better, guys? Can you hear me a little better? I'm speaking up too.
Yeah.
So anyway, the reason why so many small businesses were closing, and this was in the early 2000s.
That's better.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Is that
hey, Caroline.
They didn't own the building they were located in. And in New York City, I mean, really all 5 boroughs, but particularly in Manhattan at that time, the real estate prices started going up. And when the real estate prices went up, the rent went up, the commercial rent. And a lot of times the business owners said, listen, I only have a year or 2 left on my lease. I'm not going to be able to absorb the kind of rent increases that my landlord is asking for. Because sometimes it could be astronomical. Not just double or triple. I mean, in one case, there was a place, Colony Music, they 15 times, they raised the rent 15 times from its present, rent. So they're like, no way could we stay. So they knew that it was just a matter of time. And some people would say, oh, why did they just buy the building? Well, they couldn't afford to buy the building because the real estate prices got so, expensive. In the beginning, if they were, I guess you could say, especially a family-owned business where it was passed from generation to generation, if the family member was smart enough back in the early 1900s, 1930s, even up to the 1970s, to purchase the building that they were located in, that helped the business survive. I mean, in the case really, we chose this as a cover for our storefront book. This is Ralph's, and it was in Tribeca, Chambers Street. And you could see, since 1963, the owner did not want to close, but what happened is they were forced out because the building was sold and they wanted to develop a condo. It was a low 1-story building, but it was really, really long, it had a lot of square footage. So the owner of the building, just wanted them gone because he wanted to just get rid of the whole building and make a big condo tower, which is exactly what is there now. And I can tell you, that happened, and I think it was in 2007 that particular store closed. And still today, like in 2021, I mean, we haven't been there recently, but I think that it's still vacant, like meaning they built the building, like the big condo tower, but the storefront that is for rent is still vacant. So what happens oftentimes is when a new building gets built, the store can remain vacant or it gets taken over by like a chain store. You know, like a commercial type of space, like either a bank or a big chain store that can afford that kind of rent that they would be asking for, not a mom and pop business. So really, like our discussion today, and I'm gonna open up to questions, is what can we do to help save these small businesses? Because now during the pandemic, besides the real estate prices, I mean, that's always a factor in New York City. Real estate prices, I mean, maybe they'll come down a little bit, but they'll still be, you know, kind of high. I mean, especially for small square footage stores, they can be, you know, exorbitant, you know, even at only like a couple hundred square feet. But why are they closing? Because there's less foot traffic. So the real estate prices are a factor, but the big problem now is there's so much less foot traffic in really all the neighborhoods of New York City. I mean, it really doesn't matter where you live. I mean, we live in Manhattan, in the East Village, but we've gone all over the place, and every neighborhood it's a similar story, that there's not as many people, especially in the tourist-driven neighborhoods like Greenwich Village, even East Village and the Lower East Side to a large extent, but even in the, I mean, the outer boroughs are more protected in a lot of ways because maybe they weren't so tourist traffic, you know, but people moved away too. So there's just less foot traffic all around, whether it's from neighborhood people or from tourists coming in. And it's a huge problem. I mean, we interviewed the owner of a small rubber stamp store. It's a beautiful place. It's in the East Village, very close to our home. And we asked Mr. Casey, that's his name, John Casey, you know, what's been going on since the pandemic? And he said, listen, there's nobody walking on the street. I'm surviving because I luckily saved money. I used up my savings, and I'm surviving on maybe some people that were already like in the neighborhood coming by, and also people ordering things online. But a lot of businesses, they don't have an online presence, so that's a big problem. I mean, like, how can you survive during a pandemic and with people not being able to come in and go shopping if you don't have an online presence? So, you know, I wanted to open up the live chat to people's opinions, I mean, no matter where you are, because, I mean, we're talking about New York City, but I feel like this is really a worldwide problem. I mean, just last week we were speaking to somebody in the UK, and he was telling us it's the same thing in the UK, that, you know, because of the pandemic, a lot of businesses have been forced to shut down, you know, there's lockdown there. So it's a big problem, but I think, I mean, in my opinion, like, I'm still hopeful, and I know James is too. Like, we're always hopeful. New York is full of survivors. I feel like we can survive this, but the stores need customers. And it's not just, if you can't physically go there, you can support them by maybe buying a gift certificate, or, I mean, even if they don't have an online presence, you can call them and call the shop owner and just say, hey, what can I do? I want to help you guys. Do you have a gift certificate, or do you have merchandise? Like, if it's a food store, maybe you can't buy food because you're so far away, but maybe you can get a t-shirt. Like, I'm wearing this WoHop t-shirt, you know, which is a great little restaurant in Chinatown. It suffered a lot because Chinatown, you know, got hit very, very hard with the pandemic. You know, there's not that many tourists walking around Chinatown like there used to be. Plus, a lot of people were scared to go into Chinatown. So that's one way that we've helped support them, is by, you know, buying some in-store merchandise. So yeah, what do you guys have any, you know, questions?
Yeah, Steve, Myrna, Marion's checking in. They all had some questions. The one I think most is, someone just asked, when do we see New York rebounding?
Oh, that's a really good question. I mean, the way things are now, unfortunately, there's a lot of empty storefronts. I mean, some stores have announced their closure, but there's a lot of stores that have remained closed, or like, I mean, they haven't physically announced they're permanently closed, but I fear that the longer that they stay closed, and this is in particular like some bars and restaurants and things, that the longer they stay closed, the less likely that they're going to be able to bounce back, I mean, quickly, if at all. So I mean, I have to be realistic. Like, I'd love to say everything's gonna be
Yeah.
fine later on this year.
That was John Connect, and he's saying, do you have faith businesses will reopen once it's safe?
I mean, I
It
think
seems
it's gonna
crazy
take-
to not have a place like New York in the world.
Exactly. I think businesses will bounce back, but it may take longer than even the end of 2021. It may take a few years. I mean, I'm just being realistic just because we do speak with a lot of the store owners and they're so far in the hole now. I mean, they're hanging on by a thread, like literally using their life savings. And I mean, especially with restaurants in New York because of the outdoor dining situation like that. Indoor dining is closed. They can't survive with just the outdoor dining. It's just simply not going to work for most of the restaurants. I mean, not all of them even have outdoor dining, but even the ones that do, they're not going to survive on that and takeaway. I mean, like the owner of Veselka, for instance, you know, it's father and son, second and third generation owners. They told us flat out that they're losing money every single day being open. They have a huge outdoor dining area too. I mean, they were very fortunate to get a lot of tables, but it's just not enough. I mean, you might go by there on some days. It's in the East Village. It's very close to our house. And it looks busy, but that would be like a warmer night, like a Saturday night or something, or maybe a brunch on a Sunday. But then you'll go by during the week and it will be a lot of empty tables. And, you know, it breaks our heart. But they're in a better situation than others because their rent is at least they don't own the building, but they have a very kind landlord. So I think that's definitely something that can help is kind landlords, maybe giving some businesses a break to like stem the tide, get them through this rough patch, and then they can make up for it. I mean, I'm hoping that the spring will definitely bring, you know, more business as far as, you know, people walking around when it's warmer and just safer, but it might take longer than that.
Yeah, Steve mentioned that the restrictions have been incredibly anti-small business, very favorable to big corporations like Walmart and Amazon. Yeah, it really makes me wonder if it's all about money. That was a good comment from Steve.
Well, I mean, I can honestly say that, I mean, and I'm not trying to get into a political discussion. Really, that's the last thing I want to do. We want to help save small businesses, not get into a political arena. But the present, like, climate in New York City is not pro-small business. It hasn't been for a really long time. It's not just the Mayor Giuliani. I mean, it started, I guess, Mayor Giuliani changed, like, the neighborhood, especially our neighborhood, the East Village, from being very crime-ridden to being a safer one. So then maybe that helps small businesses, but ever since then, it's been downhill. Bloomberg, terrible for small businesses. He was always about big businesses, and certainly de Blasio, not friendly to small businesses, and our governor. I mean, I don't feel like Cuomo has been fair to our small businesses either, and you can ask any small business owner, and I'm sure, I mean, they'll agree with me. I mean, this is really coming from them as well. So, yeah, it's a big problem, the political situation. I mean, it almost seems like they're trying to get rid of small businesses. I don't know why, because to us, these small businesses, like these little mom and pop stores, they're the fabric of the community. They're what makes, just like Steve was saying, like would you want to come to New York City and visit, like as a tourist? If you can shop or eat at the same places where you can eat anywhere, you know, like a big chain store, like what makes it so special? It's the small mom and pop shops and these little you know, stores like the rubber stamp store. I mean, he only sells rubber stamps. It's these specialty places, these beautiful hole-in-the-wall restaurants. Maybe you've heard of them, maybe you've not, but they make each neighborhood unique, and we need that. Each neighborhood needs that. I mean, each neighborhood to us is defined by their small businesses. Like, we moved to the East Village because it had a lot of quirky small businesses. We were really into the art scene. There was a lot of art galleries and music venues. I mean, of course that's changed, but there's still a lot of small businesses. So, yeah, we need definitely a better political climate as well. I mean, hopefully, maybe legislation will be put in place to help small businesses, but again, that moves so slowly. I don't think that's going to be the save-all. I think people have to get together now and support these places, because waiting for a political solution is not going to be the solution.
Yeah, Pari brings up a really great point. Even if we can physically survive these lockdowns, they affect mental health and the consequences will stay for a long time. Totally agree.
Yes.
Very good point.
definitely. And I mean, nobody wants to walk around a neighborhood that has closed stores. Like, I mean, we see it all the time when we're walking around. We'll see storefront after storefront for rent, for rent, for rent. And I mean, that doesn't make a neighborhood like feel nice or safe or anything like that. So yeah, it's definitely a big problem. I mean, and global problem too. It's not just New York we're talking about. I mean, in Miami we saw it too. We've been doing a lot of videos. We had to travel to Miami for job assignments, and although things are open as far as like even indoor dining is open in Miami, still restaurants are closed. I mean, we saw it for ourselves that it's affected everywhere.
Yeah, and Myrna's saying that she believes affiliate marketing for those small businesses is the way to go. They should reach out to folks like you both and extend affiliate offers, driving buyers via email, phone. The way to go is grassroots.
I believe that too. I mean, honestly.
That was Myrna.
Oh, thanks, Myrna. I mean, honestly, the reason we really started hitting like social media hard as far as Instagram. I mean, Instagram especially, we have a lot of followers on it. I mean, I forget what we're up to. It's I think close to 60,000 followers. And I mean, we grew that from a very, very tiny channel in the beginning. We never bought any ads. It's all about promoting these mom and pop stores, and we don't charge. Like, we'll just put up what we like what we've taken a photo of, and we try to bring people to that store. And certainly our YouTube channel, that's a newer thing. Our YouTube channel is very small. We just started it last year. But the reason we started it is we felt like we weren't reaching enough through the photography. Like, we try to put up the photo of the store and the interior photo too when we can, but just the picture wasn't reaching enough. So we said, oh, let's go to the businesses, go inside, get the owner to speak with us, put these videos up, and maybe more people will watch videos. But yeah, Myrna, you're 100% right. It's the grassroots campaigns. I mean, there's different people out there on the internet now that are, trying to help small businesses as well. And I mean, we applaud them. I mean, this is the way to save them. We have to do something. We can't sit around waiting for like a miracle to happen with legislation or something like that. I mean, even giving a business a loan, like that's throwing them like a lifeline. That's great, but a loan that has to be paid back. I mean, eventually they'll have to make a lot of money to pay that back. So it'd be nice to have like the cash in hand. And I think the owners would feel better about that. Like, they started a store because they actually want customers. Like, they want that interaction. They want to sell you something. I mean, that's why they have a shop or restaurant. And I mean, I hope that's why people like to go to mom and pop shops. That's why we do, is we like to speak to the owner or at least the manager or whoever's there and get to know them. I mean, they become like your friend.
Yeah, Sean Gallagher was saying great points, and he thinks that small businesses are intentionally being attacked, kind of like Steve, and people suffer, corporations get richer. So that's a common thread going through the chat.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people are ordering online. I mean, in big corporations, like, I don't even like to say the big A word, but you know what AM stands for. You can.
Oh, thanks, Marion.
You can fill out the rest of the letters.
$4.99 for our next coffee on our next walk.
Oh, thank
yeah,
you.
We got some good ones planned.
Yeah, and that will go to an independently owned coffee shop, not like a Starbucks or something like that, because
Right.
they don't need our money. It's a small.
Thanks for the
guys.
donation, Marion.
Yeah, thanks, Marion. Really appreciate
If I
it.
sound like a tunnel, it's because I'm just behind the camera in a big room.
Right, and I'm in front of it. So
Yeah.
I mean, definitely, I think the
Thank you.
grassroots campaign and trying to just on a local level, like, be hyper local, but even like if you're not in New York City and you want to help save the fabric of New York City, if you can do something online, like I said, if you can buy merchandise or even a gift certificate to say, hey, I'm not able to travel this year. Maybe I won't be able to go until 2023, but I'm gambling on you still being there, that I can get like a gift card, and then I'll redeem that gift card a few years from now. And that will put cash in the store owner's pocket, because you're paying now for something that literally you're not redeeming right away. So it's kind of like a loan. I mean, that's the way I see it, but a loan that, benefits them, and they don't have to really, pay back except in their merchandise or food or whatever it is.
Caroline N. likes how things are going in Florida. She's saying Governor DeSantis is fantastic, example of how governance should be, and that she feels it's all political. And we've seen Florida definitely seems to be doing a little better.
Yes, I mean, not all the hotels and restaurants and small places are
That was
open.
Caroline N.
Oh, thank you, Caroline, but we
Yep.
totally agree with you. I mean, it was a real eye-opener coming to Miami because, I mean, we've been in New York, since the pandemic, and, really since even before, like since, in February before everything hit, like when we were hearing inklings of it, and just walking around, I mean, especially we made these YouTube videos where like no one, I mean, we were literally walking down 42nd Street, like in the middle of the street. There was no traffic, there was nobody was around, everybody was sequestering. I mean, because we have Hudson, who's falling asleep during this live stream, as I see, we had to walk our dog, so we were always going outside. So, even though we wanted to stay safe and everything like that, because we had a dog, we were going outside and said, well, we might as well bring our camera and just start recording what's been happening. And yeah, it was a huge eye-opener. And then coming to Miami and seeing, well, okay, here's somebody that decided to open up small businesses. It's really, really, really helping them. But listen, walking around Miami, they're not busy. I mean, a couple of the restaurants we've seen, like, seemingly look not crowded, but I guess, in a safe way, because even the indoor dining, the tables have to be 6 feet apart. So nobody's like packed in like there was like last year or the year before that. But some of the places really are not that busy at all. I mean, like we went by Joe's Stone Crab, which is an iconic family-owned business in South Beach and specializing in their stone crabs. And in years past, when we would go there, I mean, you'd have to wait like 2-3 hours to go into the restaurant. I mean, they have a takeaway too, but even the takeaway, it could take, like maybe a half hour to 45 minutes for you to get your order, even if you called it in. And now you call it in, they answer the phone right away, and you just go in there and you pick it up. So they're not busy because there's not that many tourists. I mean, and certainly Miami relies heavily on tourism, but it's certainly a better situation for sure than New York. So I mean, I don't think the mayor or our governor is listening to this live stream, but I hope they are, because like, I mean, this isn't just our opinion. This is us talking to all the small business owners and asking them what they would like. I mean, they want to open up safely.
Yep.
It's very important to be safe. Yes, we understand that. We want everyone to be safe. We don't want anyone getting sick. But there's definitely ways that these places can open up safely, whether it's just by appointment only. We saw that in Miami, that some of the stores, the retail stores, you have to make an appointment to shop there. I mean, yeah, that might be a little bit intimidating, make you feel like you have to buy something if you made an appointment, but maybe that's a good thing. I mean, it's something to consider as far as like opening up things more, so for sure. So yeah, more
Yeah,
questions?
Amanda's saying that it needs to be 100% capacity for stores in New York. And people, they're smart. They won't fill it up 100%. I think she's implying that it will maintain social distancing, that, yeah, a lot of people will not even do the indoor dining.
Right.
But if the option is there,
Exactly.
that's Amanda in the chat.
Yeah, Amanda, you're right, because James and I have been on the New York City subway. I mean, we didn't take the subway, we took it like on March 17th. That was like basically when the pandemic had started. I remember because we had a photo shoot in Queens, so we took the subway. We actually had to take 2 different lines to get out there, and we couldn't believe that there was hardly anybody on the subway. It was like basically ghosty town, as I call it. And then since then, like, we didn't take the subway through the rest of March, all through April. I don't think it was until like the end of May, beginning of June that we took the subway again. Like, we were just walking everywhere. As far as we could walk, that's where we could go. And we were walking far. I mean, we walked all the way up to Harlem from the East Village. So we were kind of getting a pulse of what the city looked like, but we were being safe, and because we were like nervous, okay, like everybody was about taking the subway. But
Sure.
Taking the subway is totally safe, guys. Like,
Yep.
It's still very, very empty. I mean, we've been on it in rush hour, like on, weekday times, and I mean, yeah, there's a couple of lines, maybe like the 4, 5, 6 gets still a little crowded, that maybe
Right.
you can't be 6 feet apart, but for the most part, you can just wait or get in another car. Like, it's not crowded like sardines like it used to be.
People are reasonable.
Yeah, people are reasonable, and they're being cautious, and I mean, everybody is really being great in New York. I feel like wearing the mask when it's necessary, and yeah, I mean, the same in Miami. I mean, Miami, anytime you go inside someplace, you have to wear a mask, except obviously while you're eating,
Yep.
because you can't eat with
Marion
masks.
chimed in that in Scotland, masks are mandatory.
Right, that's not a requirement, like that they won't arrest you if you're not wearing a mask. For those that are not listening, that aren't living in New York City or even the United States for whole that matter, there's no like mandatory law that you'll be arrested if you're not wearing a mask outside. Inside is a different story, because then it's on then you know, they have to enforce that because they just want everyone to be safe. So you will be asked to leave if you're not wearing a mask, and that includes Miami. I mean, we've been in places and somebody
Right.
just like, I think they just forgot, like they just walked in and, you know, they forgot they didn't have their mask on. And then, you know, of course, there's usually a guard by the front door of every store now, just politely says, okay, if you don't have one, here's a mask for you. And we see that in New York too. I mean, we had to send something at a postal store, and the same thing. They had a little box of masks right by the door for anybody that didn't have one with them, just in case.
Sarah's saying we both inspired her to shop more mindfully in the UK, to just be aware of where things are coming from, who's pulling the strings on all this. I think it's important to really help the business.
Definitely, definitely. I mean, the bottom line is that, I mean, the only way small businesses are going to survive is with customers. That is the bottom line. They need your support, whether you can shop online or, you know, that's obviously very safe, or physically go into the store, just buy a gift card, whatever it is, that is the key. So if there's a small business, wherever you are, it doesn't have to be New York City, it doesn't have to even be in the United States, it could be in New Zealand, wherever you guys are listening from, you can support that small business. That's helping ensure its future. I think that's, we have to go to that grassroots level and just be, okay, we want it to stay in business, we have to support them. I mean, and I know there's GoFundMe campaigns and things like that, but I mean, that's great, and that's been a lifeline for a lot of businesses. Like I know Julius, which is like the oldest gay bar in New York City, they survived through the pandemic because they had a GoFundMe that helped her pay the bills, because she doesn't own the building, the owner, and she had to pay the rent, and they did a GoFundMe, and that really, really helped. I mean, now, you know, they have their outdoor setup, but it's super cold, guys, in New York, and like, I mean, there's diehard people that will do the outdoor dining when it's freezing, but, you know, it's tough. It's definitely tough.
Yeah, someone just said that in the chat, that it's a shame that it isn't warmer out. Caroline N saying it's a shame it's not warmer out because people, you know, try to help out in the outside dining.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when...
Yeah, and DN's also saying that we're only halfway through the winter.
Right, on a warmer day, that's what I said, like, for instance, I'm going to use Veselka as a good case in point. Just because we live so close, basically we would see them on a daily basis walking Hudson, and we would see sometimes, oh my God, there's no one there because it was really cold. But on a warmer day, even though they have the heaters, then people would go. But they wouldn't go on a really cold day because, I mean, let's face it, your food gets cold. Even though you might be able to be cold because there's a heater, like, you know, kind of over your head. I mean, your food gets cold immediately. When it's cold out. I mean, it's no fun to eat, you know, something cold. So, you know, that's supposed to be hot. Put it that way. I mean, in Chinatown, the same way. One of our friends, he owns No More Tea Parlor, and he always posts on his social media, like, thank you guys, like, for braving the cold, like, sitting, he doesn't even have, like, the space heaters or anything, he just has, like, these, you know, little umbrellas and seats outside his place in Chinatown, and, you know, he's super thankful for when people brave the weather. But yeah, the weather is a huge deal. That's why in Miami, I think things are doing better, because, I mean, you know, it's a tropical climate, it never gets really cold at all. So yeah, places that are fortunate enough to have good weather, that can operate more outside. I mean, New York is even allowing retail businesses to have like an outside thing now. Like you can set up some merchandise, like say you own a clothing business. You can put a clothing, like, you know, like put a metal, like the garment industry has when they're moving merchandise around. They'll have one of those metal racks. You can put a metal rack outside your store now. Before, you know, you'd have to have a permit for that, or you'd get fined, or, you know, there's a lot of red tape in running a business in New York City, but New York City has allowed businesses to have like this little outdoor area. But listen, when you have a rack outside, someone's gonna watch that rack, right? So that means the store owner or employee has to stand outside in the freezing cold. So, I
Yeah.
mean, is that the answer for our store survival?
Right.
Probably, you know, for the whole winter? Probably not, you know?
Yeah, Paul kind of is
I'm
our
gonna get some water first.
our friend Paul, who's always in the chat, is asking that his postman will only put things in the cat flap, not in the box. And I think he's speaking to like this
like
almost,
when there's
yeah,
a door, like a little door.
yeah, pitch it through there. And I think
Yeah.
he's speaking to, Paul, correct me if I'm wrong, speaking to kind of the hysteria that can also take hold, which we've seen in our building and we've seen in New York. And I think the approach we've come across here is more common sense, it seems, more.
Exactly, wash your hands, don't put your hands in your mouth.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you go in the subway, just wash your hands.
Right, like, I mean, obviously you're touching things when you go grocery shopping, like everyone's going grocery shopping, you're touching things. Well, then you don't put your hand in your mouth. I mean, shouldn't you be putting your hand in your mouth unless you're eating anyway? But you don't do that after you touch something. I mean, even if you're wearing gloves, your gloves can get dirty too. So you just have to wash your hands, use the hand sanitizer. I mean, thank God, James and I have not gotten sick through this whole pandemic. And I think it's because we wash our hands religiously.
Yeah.
And use a lot of hand sanitizer.
Yeah, and just stay.
And like I said, we've been on the subway, like, you know, try not to touch anything on the subway, but I mean, you know, sometimes you can't help it.
Yeah, common
Like-
sense hygiene.
Exactly.
Yep. A lot of people checking in. Owen, hey Owen.
Hi, Owen.
Owen's saying there has to be some creative way of financing this problem. Someone needs to create a financial vehicle for businesses, something creative that hasn't been thought of yet, maybe like a bond program or something along those lines.
Yeah, I mean, like I said.
That was Owen in the chat.
I know that, you know, people are trying to be creative and find solutions, like, even, you know, we know a place that's designing merchandise for stores that are struggling, that didn't have merchandise, on their own. Or, you know, the pizza guy, the Barstool Fund, like he set up a whole fund where, you know, the business owner can say, we need help, and he's giving the money. The money is coming from donations from people. So those are great things, and I mean, if there's no shame in asking for help, you know, people, I mean, I know that even James and I, like, even through our YouTube channel, like, we hate to say, oh, give us a channel donation, because it's like asking people for something, but I feel like, you know, sometimes you have to ask to receive. So the small businesses definitely need to ask for help, being creative and finding ways, like Owen was saying. That sounds wonderful. So, I mean, if anybody's creative that's listening out there that has a creative idea and wants to bounce it to us, I mean, through social media, we do, I mean, especially on Instagram. we do
Buffering,
have-
no sound. Myrna's chiming in. Is that you, Myrna, or is it us?
I hope it's not us.
Hey, everybody, can you still hear us? A couple people in the chat are saying we're having a little trouble. It looks like we're still live here.
Yeah, we don't see any problems on our end.
Oh,
but-
if Steve hears us, yes,
Oh,
people
good.
hear us.
Yeah, so if you are creative, like say you're a graphic designer.
Thanks, everyone.
Or whatever you are, if you have a creative idea, but you're just by yourself and you don't have a big social media presence where you can get the word about to people, please tell us, please, because we will help. You know, we're helping all these small businesses for free. We don't charge them anything. Like when we put their photo up on Instagram or we highlight their business on YouTube, we never, 100% of the time, we never charge. In fact, we always try, if not all the time, to pay. I mean, sometimes business owners are insistent, oh, let me give you like East Village pizza. He's like, no, I can't let you pay for this pizza. You know, you're doing me this huge favor by posting it on your Instagram and your YouTube. I won't let you pay for the pizza. And I'm like, okay, this time, but next time we're gonna pay. Like
We do.
We offer to pay. I mean, even if they say no, we insist, because we feel like we have to put like kind of like money where the mouth is. I mean, we're saying support small businesses, and we're just asking these businesses to give us free things just to put up their, you know, picture. That would be totally wrong. We don't do that. I mean, other channels might, other, you know, Instagram, but we do not. We do this for the love. It's always been for the love, because honestly, guys, I mean, we started photographing these mom and pop stores before the internet. before, like, even, there wasn't even a digital camera. This is like all 35 millimeter film. Like, this first storefront book is all 35 millimeter film. So we, you know, you can look through here, like, sadly, there's 325 stores in this book, and I can tell you in 2021, 90% of them are gone now. 90% gone. And I mean, a large portion, I guess, when we wrote the introduction in 2008, 1/3 of those stores had already closed, and that was because of rent increases, definitely the number one reason. But since then, there's been other factors. And now, I mean, there's a whole list. We've been putting them up on our Instagram of businesses that have closed due to the pandemic. And it's heartbreaking, absolutely heartbreaking. I mean, Gem Spa, that's in this book.
Yeah, everyone agree, and it's sad.
One of them. So, yeah, what can we do to like stem this tide? Definitely support them. I mean, they need our help. But if you guys have any creative ideas, we're more than willing to, you know, help in any way we can.
Yeah, Marion has an interesting point. She says in Scotland, they are giving £1,500 to self-employed taxi drivers, but they are going to count it as their income. So they're really not going to benefit from it, like with, I guess, with taxes and everything else.
Oh, right. So they're going to be taxed on it and stuff like that.
Right.
No.
Like we hear these constant stimulus things, and you know that money.
Right. Money doesn't grow on a tree. I mean, then you won't get a tax break or something like that when it's time to do your taxes. But it gives you that immediate cash in the pocket. So I'm not against that. I'm not against getting a check in the mail as a lifeline for businesses. But at the same time, you know, I think like just getting that cash in hand definitely helps. But yeah, you know, yeah, you'll be taxed on the income, even when, you know, like if somebody does a GoFundMe, it's not like that's just money that's just like, you know, they don't have to report. You have to report that as income. It's not like a free gift, I guess you could say. But the store owners aren't asking for a free gift. They just want to survive. I mean, a lot of these places Venero's Pastisseria in our neighborhood has been there since 1894. They survived the Spanish flu pandemic. They survived World War I, World War II. You know, the East Village, the crime in the late 70s and 80s. Like, they've been through it all. And, you know, they're just trying to, like, just get through this. So, yeah, definitely, if you guys have any ideas, creative-wise, that you think that we can help you, you know, by getting the word out, we're happy to do it. I mean, definitely, we're there.
Yeah, Caroline Ann, in a lot of the kind of thread through the things, is kind of dealing with politics of it all. You know,
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really want to get into a political discussion because, like I said, I don't feel like the current administration, as far as the city, New York City, I'm talking about in particular, I don't know about everywhere else because we really, you know, we're based in New York City. So in New York City, as far as the mayor, even the governor of New York, they're not small business friendly. And that's not just now because of the pandemic. That was before. Like they never made it easy. Like every small business owner will tell us the hidden tax. Oh,
yeah, in our books, excuse me, we've interviewed all the owners. So Karla's speaking just what they tell us.
Right. I know in our Storefront 2 book, this is like a newer book. Like well over 1/3. This is pub date 2016. 1/3 of the stores, the couple of hundred stores that are in here, have closed. But we asked the store owners, what's going on? Are you in jeopardy of closing? Like, do you own the building? We asked them these very, very pointed questions. I mean, at first we were nervous because, like, that's kind of like private information, but they were happy to share this information with us, and they're like, oh God, no, we don't own the building. And in fact, it's so difficult to operate a small business because the city makes it so impossible. I mean, a restaurant owner told us that they have to throw away all the food when a city health inspector comes because they'll find fault, like with most ridiculous thing. Like they'll be serving somebody coffee and they'll put milk out because somebody wants to pour, you know, you don't pour the milk for a customer. A customer wants to put their certain amount of milk in their coffee, say they like it with milk. And now the health inspector will come in and he'll, you know, take a temperature gauge and be like, oh, well, that's not at the temperature it should be because it's not in the refrigerator. It's on the person's table. And milk doesn't, everybody knows milk doesn't go bad like within a half hour of it being out on the table. I mean, I've milked out for way longer than that. But it's just these little ridiculous rules. A bar owner told us he got a fine like a couple $100 for having the wrong wattage light bulb. I mean, and I understand that.
Right, safety and
Safety
lights.
and everything like that, but couldn't you just give the guy a warning? Like maybe he ran out of a light bulb and
Right.
that's the only thing he had and it was temporary. Like
Right.
just give him a warning and let them fix it or something like
Yeah,
that.
and the outdoor dining, the 18-inch walls,
Oh, that was a horrible thing what the small restaurant owners had to go through in New York City, because New York City said, okay, you can have this outdoor dining, help you get through the pandemic, and they said you can build these things, and they said, okay, it has to be a certain height, size, width, this, that. And then they built them. I mean, we know that a pizzeria owner by us, he built all the enclosures, and then a couple of days later, the inspector came by and like, oh, no, we changed it. Now it has to be 18 inches thick, and you have to put sandbags and this, that, and the other thing. And he had to not only take down everything that he built, but he had to pay the guy. They couldn't even reuse the wood. The wood just got thrown away to build a whole new one because the size was so vastly different. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, we're talking like $6,000 to build,
Right, it's not cheap.
which to these guys, when they're already suffering, already been closed for almost a year.
Wood prices have gotten really expensive. I mean, wood, like a 2x4, because here in the United States we go by feet, so 2 feet by 4 feet, that's basically the size of a sheet of plywood. It got really expensive now, so when they build these wooden enclosures, it costs a lot of money, and they may never see it back, especially if they have to throw it away. I mean, that happened to B&H Dairy too, another wonderful, wonderful small little restaurant owned by 2 immigrants. They work really, really, really hard, husband and wife, and they built an outdoor dining area, and the city came by and said, nope, it's too close to the tree, and I mean, they had put it there, and the city inspector had said it was fine, and then he said, no, like a week or two later, it's too close to the tree, you have to, get rid of it. And
Yeah, this stuff's crippling to these people.
yeah, I mean, like literally, I could take the next 5 hours of this live chat talking about all the ridiculous things that the store owners have told us about running a small business and what was happening, particularly during the pandemic, with the city not being, nice to small business owners. I mean, even the loans that the city gave, like they seem to favor, the PPP loans. They seem to favor the big businesses. In fact, like some businesses that weren't, I mean, they didn't even deserve to have a loan. Like they were like billionaires owned them, and they got them, and like other small little places didn't get anything. So,
Yep.
Yeah, but again, we can't get into that political discussion. I think today's topic is more like, how can we as a person
Right.
help save these small businesses?
Yeah, John Neck is saying that when he visited New York, the magic came from the community and the small businesses.
Exactly.
Also, Brad Marcus loves Karla's shirt.
Yeah, that's like I was saying before, if you're just joining in our live stream, a way to support the small businesses is if there are food businesses and you're not in New York, or you don't eat that kind of food, like say it's you're a vegetarian and you don't have vegetarian food, but you still care about them, is you can buy some merchandise. So like we got this shirt at Bull Hop in Chinatown because they were,
Which we also eat, but
yeah, we eat that too. But I mean, even with our channel, like our channel really is 100% trying to support small businesses. That's what we highlight. Most of the things that we highlight are small businesses. And through our channel, like we try to do our part and we give back. Like we'll go shop and eat and dine at these places. And I mean, I think everybody can do that. Yes, we have a social media presence, so when we put up a picture or a video, we help spread the word. But even just 50 subscribers on Instagram, that's 50 more people that maybe didn't know that this business was struggling. So don't feel like, oh, I don't have a big social media presence. I'm so small, I can't possibly make a difference. No, that's the wrong attitude. I mean, even in our Instagram, we started our Instagram in 2014. We hardly had any subscribers, and we built it up slowly but slowly. And I think people realize your authenticity and that where your heart is. I feel like if you put your love into something, it shines through. So
yeah. Beatrice Martin is saying that people's attitude is, why should I pay for living on the Upper West Side if all my favorite places are closing?
That's
And I think that's a huge point, Beatrice. In our building alone in the city.
Right. We live in the East Village, but the East Village has the preponderance of very low, small tenement buildings, meaning like 3 to 5 stories. That's why we moved there, because we loved all these small little shops, and because of the buildings are so small, so the storefronts tend to be very small. But we happen to live in a bigger building, a taller building, and we have this nice view of all these small shops. But the reason we moved to the neighborhood is because of all these small businesses. We like to go out and say, oh, what do we feel like eating tonight? Literally in the East Village, you can just name an international country, name a kind of food, and you can get it. Some of them close now, but literally you could eat something from Kyrgyzstan.
Yeah, seriously.
Something from the Ukraine, authentic. Like an authentic person, like an immigrant that's
Ethiopian, anything.
Ethiopian, like you name it. We've got a great Venezuelan place serving Caracas. If you name it, we've got it. In fact, the Caracas place,
right,
I think is closing. But at any rate, it's those small businesses. That's why we moved there, because we like to have that option of okay, yeah, we can get anything. And it was inexpensive. Not so inexpensive at the time. Certainly it's become gentrified. But if you know where to look, there's still really good gems to find. Plus the small little independent stores, like I mentioned, the rubber stamp store, and the art venues, galleries, music places. A lot of them are closed, like CBGBs. We used to go there all the time. Breaks our heart.
Oh, thank you. Ichiko Gardner just gave us a donation for today's pastries. Thanks.
Thank you so much. I wanted to say to everybody, we really do appreciate the channel donations, because they go right back into these small businesses, because we highlight them on our channel and we buy things when we're there. So, plus we're saving to buy equipment too, to make our videos even better. We have a Patreon, and we can't thank our Patreon supporters enough, because they enabled us to buy a gimbal. So when we live stream, right now it's sitting on a tripod. The tripod we owned already. We didn't have to buy that. But we bought a gimbal because we started doing these live streams, and people were saying, oh, you're so shaky. And we were. Trust me. We were walking on the Williamsburg Bridge, and it rattles and shakes when the train goes through. And it was super shaky video.
Right.
I'm no, you need to buy a gimbal. So through Patreon, which is your monthly, kind of like a Netflix, where you join and you pay a monthly fee, anywhere from $1 to $20 a month. You get all these bonus perks, but we put it to buying a better equipment, but we also support these small businesses. So thank you for the channel donation.
John, we
really appreciate it.
John, we did mention Barstool Sports earlier.
Yes. What he's doing is tremendous. All the small businesses.
Someone's shouting out to Colony. Was such a great spot.
Colony Music, yes, 15 times the rent. They increased the rent 15 times. That's why Colony Music had to close. There's countless stories of that.
Marion has a tartan kerchief for Hudson. Oh, love that, Marion.
We'll give you our mailing address. Definitely message us, whether through Instagram. Oh yeah, so you guys that are listening on YouTube that don't know about our Instagram account, it's at JamesandKarla, the same as our YouTube channel. And we always the DMs are great through there. We respond to every direct message,
we do a different business every night. We try to make it thoughtful.
Yes, exactly. While we're in Miami, we highlight Miami businesses, but wherever we go, most of the time it's in New York, we highlight these small places. Sometimes we report on a business that closed, because, we like to document and photograph and support, obviously, businesses that are still open. Once they close, you can't bring them back. It's like you can't resurrect something that's dead. In the case of Sammy's Romanian, we were the ones to report on social media that business had closed. Because what happened is we were doing a live stream on Christmas Eve. So it wasn't Christmas Eve, it was the Eve before Christmas Eve. And we walked by and we noticed that they had cleared out the restaurant. It was closed all through March. They never reopened when indoor dining, briefly reopened in New York City. They had remained closed.
Oh, thanks, Myrna.
But
$10 for Myrna. Thank you, Myrna.
Thank you, Myrna. But we noticed that Sammy's had cleared out their whole restaurant space. They had taken down the sign. We peeked inside, and they're like, oh my God, there's nothing left in there. So they must have closed. But they didn't announce on social media or publicly to anybody that they had closed. But not that we were outing them, but we wanted to let people know. We put up the picture that they had closed, and then of course, there was a big uproar, and the owner had to say, yes, we closed. They hope to reopen, but not in that location, not where it originally was. I mean, maybe they can reopen. I don't know if they can. It really depends on what happens with the pandemic, because that place in particular, if you guys don't know about Sammy's, it was like a party atmosphere inside, and you sat really close. Basically, you were on top of everybody else. I mean, there's no way that business can ever social distance. I mean, and I think that's important to think about the future. Like, businesses that had, packed situations have to reconfigure. If they haven't done that already, they have to start thinking about it. And they have to think of a way to safely reopen, because they will. We are hopeful that everything that is still alive today can reopen, even if it's closed temporarily. But they're going to have to do it differently. It's not going to be the same old, like, we're eating on top of one another. I mean, one of our dear restaurants, I don't even think we announced it so publicly, right, about
No.
One of our favorite, we'll have to put it up on Instagram, maybe we'll put that up tomorrow. One of our favorite Bangladeshi restaurants, Indian food, closed. It's in the East Village. And literally, I mean, no matter what conversation you were having, the whole restaurant would hear it, because it was such a small space and all the tables were so close together. And in James being very tall and having long legs, like, he was just like, he was always like banging into the people that were sitting behind him, because like he had no room to even sit down. And they closed because they can never reopen the way they were. I mean, they realized their limitations. So, the places that are blessed enough to have a large enough space, they're going to have to reconfigure. You're not going to have just a restaurant with 10 tables that are all piled into, like, 150 square foot space. Like, that's the East Village, really, and there's a lot of little restaurants like that.
John in the chat is saying there's a beautiful old Italian restaurant on 110th Street called V&T. We know V&T.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, make sure he buys a pie every week, right across from St. John Cathedral, in case we ever make it up there. Yes, we've been up there, and there was a Hungarian
pastry shop, right? But it's literally right near it, and I mean, those places, they had got a lot of tourists and a lot of students, because that's by the university. So a lot of university students would eat there, and then they got really adversely affected when there was only online learning, and I mean, that's how East Village got devastated, because NYU shut down. They sent all the students home, like, I guess it was, I don't know whether it was sometime in March or definitely by early April, everybody was gone. And NYU owns a lot of buildings in the East Village. So a lot of people that live in the East Village, like, it got really gentrified. They're students, whether they're attending undergraduate or even graduate programs at NYU, because NYU is huge. There's lots of different schools. It really affected the small businesses. I mean, I know we went and interviewed the owner of Tompkins Square Bagels, and they have 2 locations, but the one we went to is directly across the street from Tompkins Square Park, which is a park in the East Village, a very iconic park. We go every day because it's Hudson's favorite park. There's a dog run there too. And he told us, listen, a bulk of my business was the NYU students. I mean, they would get my bagels, and they would get sandwiches, like the cream cheese sandwiches, and just a big portion of my business. Plus, he lost, like, he had a lot of business where he would do a catering to, like, that he built up over the years, like maybe say Google or a big company like that they would cater, a luncheon or some sort of meeting, and they would use him. And he's like, there's no more meetings, our neighbor, our literal next door neighbor in our apartment, he works for Cisco Systems, and Cisco shut down their New York offices. Like, everybody is working from home. So, when you think of the pandemic and when you think of small businesses, it's not just the tourists, it's also people that, are now working from home. So wherever they were commuting to, whether it's even like they live in New York City and they commute in New York City, like I know our neighbor, he commuted. I mean, it just was a short subway right away, but now he no longer frequents those small businesses that were around his office, because there is no office. His office is his living room, So, I mean, it's a big problem. I mean, the big problem with Tompkins Square Bagels, that he doesn't have the traffic from the businesses, the offices that were supporting his business. So what can we do to save them? I mean, that's the question what we're kind of asking today of you guys, and we want to be creative. James and I want to help, like, I mean, through our YouTube channel, definitely through our Instagram, we have a fairly good social media presence, and we are in contact with a lot of news reporters and stuff like that we've developed these contacts over the years, and we really feel like we can help get the word out. And if you have a creative solution to help a small business, even if just one business, I mean, I think that's important. We can't help everything. I mean, I guess we possibly could. I mean, let's think big, but one business at a time, one little small place at a time. I mean, baby steps. And, whether, if they don't have merchandise, maybe somebody that's talented. I mean, James and I are not graphic designers, We're actually self-taught photographers, by the way, and videographers now. We never went to school. We learned everything, like, on our own, just teaching it to ourselves. But say you have a skill that you feel like, okay, maybe my skill can help a small business. Let us know. Tell us what you think. Let's brainstorm together, and maybe we can think of ways to help these little guys, because they need our help. They really, really, really do. And I mean, it breaks our heart to see them close, but we can't wait until they close, because it's difficult to bring them back. We can't wait till, this is the dinosaur. Like, we can't wait. We're not bringing the dinosaur back. We have to not let them become extinct. We have to be proactive. Do something now while they're still around, while we can still do something. Because I feel like, especially the businesses that are closed, the longer they stay closed, even if they haven't announced that they're going to close, honestly, we have to be realistic. The longer they stay closed, they still have to pay rent. Even if there's New York City puts a rent moratorium, like that small businesses don't have to pay rent. I mean, eventually they will. So when they reopen, they'll be on the line for that money. This isn't like money that's just being thrown at them to reopen. It's not like a freebie. They'll have to pay that back. They need the business. So if we can do something now while we can, before the bills pile up even higher, then I mean, the small business owners told us that they poured their life savings. Like John Casey, he said, I emptied out my IRA, he emptied out his savings account. I mean, and he's older too. Like, you don't want to hear that from a small business owner. Like, maybe he wants to work until he's 100. That's great. I mean, we hope to be working until we're 100, but not everybody wants to do that. So spending your life savings to save your business isn't, great financial sense. I mean, I'm not a financial planner, but I mean, that's common sense. So we need to do something now before people get too big in the hole.
Yeah, Marion brought up a good point before, how she never heard of a food bank until recently. Now she donates a box of shopping every week. She can't bear the thought of anyone going hungry.
Yes.
Listen, guys, we did a couple videos where we showed food lines. If the news would just show what we saw.
The sadness.
I mean, in the despair.
The Chinatown, there's a lot.
Stretched for.
I mean, there was lines, you can watch them in our YouTube videos.
And we cut those because they were too much to bear.
Right. The lines stretched. I mean, there was hundreds and hundreds of people. And the homeless shelters, like the soup kitchen on the Bowery. I mean, huge, tremendous lines of people. And, I mean, there's actually, like she was saying, there's a community refrigerator right by our apartment in New York City, run by a lovely, lovely store owner. It's called Smack, Sarita's Mac and Cheese. It's Sarita Ekia is the small business owner. All they do is sell mac and cheese. It's a great place. We highlight it on a video. It's all by itself. You can look it up in our New York feed under the East Village. If you're looking at a playlist, I'll put all these playlists in the description afterwards. But she allowed a community refrigerator. She has a refrigerator right outside her shop, and even a pantry, so there's a little cupboard area for dry food. So if you have a canned good, say at home, and it looks like, oh gosh, look, maybe it's expiring in another month or two, and you don't think you're going to use it, like I did that. I went through all my canned goods, and I'd be like, oh look, I have some baked beans. I'm not going to have this, and it's going to expire soon. Before it expires, yeah, give it to the pantry. And I mean, I've done that, one of the small business owners we highlighted, East Village Pizzeria. We couldn't finish all the pizza that we ate, and we were careful not to touch it, but we cut the pie in half, and I put the other half in the refrigerator because I figured somebody could use it. Don't throw it out.
Right.
They do. I mean, we've gone so far to give homeless people, food on the street, but I mean, in Miami, actually, they have a very specific law. You're not supposed to feed the homeless.
Right.
I mean, and in New York too, now, even where they feed the homeless, everything has to be packaged. Like, it can't be, it has to be covered, like, in plastic and stuff like that. They, because of the virus, which is being safe, but I mean, if you know that your food is safe and you can, you've eaten it yourself and you haven't gotten sick, I don't see a reason not to donate it. I mean, that's just me. I mean, everybody's
No, Steve is saying that could sound disgusting.
Right.
But Steve, if you go down,
If you saw the people,
if you stand outside the Bowery Mission one day at around 11:30 or 10 a.m. when they're lining up,
you don't even have to stand at the Mission. You can just start walking around our East Village neighborhood. There's so
no, but the
many
people
homeless
start
people.
lining up for 2 hours ahead of time.
Yeah,
Chinatown, go there. There's like, you could walk
They
6,
really
7 blocks
Right.
in one way, and there's a line of people waiting for the free
Maybe
for the
you
free
feel
food.
Like, maybe you feel like, oh my God, I don't feel safe eating that. But I don't.
Oh, Steve is correcting me. I'm sorry. He means it's disgusting that you're not allowed to give the homeless food.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, no, I got you, Steve. I got you.
You misread it.
Right,
But
right.
yeah, I mean, I think that's terrible.
No, Beatrice, Steve, I misread Steve. Don't go on Steve now.
Okay, good.
Yeah. No,
So,
what I'm trying to say is,
right, if you have an apple,
yeah.
and
Me
you're
and
not gonna eat it.
me and Karla are chin up, chest out, positivity. But just go down to Chinatown one day. It broke our hearts. I mean, they don't show it on the news. You don't know the human toll that's going on in New York City right now.
Right, because of the pandemic.
I mean, what I'm trying to say.
The mayor says we don't
Right,
have a homeless problem.
right. Go out and walk 10 blocks along this line, 10 blocks of people, reach the end of that line and turn right, and you see it goes another 4 or 5 avenue blocks. Walk that, then turn right on that 4th or 5th Avenue, and it goes another 10 blocks back in the other way.
Right.
And you see people just staring at the sidewalk, waiting for food.
And in the cold. I mean,
In the cold.
I mean, we have a channel supporter. He has a YouTube channel too, Reg Life, and he documents the homeless situation.
Right.
And I think he's in Detroit, Michigan now. He travels around, but I mean, the homeless situation, sadly, I mean, that's could be a whole nother. We could do a whole nother.
We could do a whole nother thing
on that, but it's a big problem. So
Right.
I mean,
And it's not just homeless, it's working class poor.
right. It's people that lost their job.
Right.
I mean, a lot of people lost their job. You have to think of like
You could tell the
you walk-
first time they've been on a food line.
If you walk around Times Square, the theater district, everything pretty much is closed. I mean, the theater district, it not only employed the people that worked at the theater, like, not only even the musicians or the people that do the lighting at the theater. There's so many people that work at the theater, but all the surrounding small businesses, whether it's restaurants, even the food cart guy, selling hot dogs. I mean, we always try to, buy a hot dog for Hudson to eat because it's just something to give them money. I mean, just try to help them because there's no tourists walking around. They're just devastated, absolutely devastated. So, yeah, I mean, we're definitely open to suggestions of like, if you have any creative ideas to help these small businesses, we're going to keep on photographing them, sharing our photos on social media, try to help get the word out. We think of like our channel, our YouTube channel, and our Instagram, and really our books as like an artistic intervention. Like if you say to somebody, hey, this is in New York, you want to visit, you want to go to these mom and pop stores, look, this one's suffering, you can help it. Maybe it will open people's eyes. I mean, we try to put up businesses that are still around. I mean, sometimes we'll put up a closed business on our feed just because it's important for people to know that they closed too, because then they can maybe support the ones that are still.
Oh, Seal Bear just said $5. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much for the channel donation. It goes right back to support small businesses, our passion. It's everything. I mean, like I said, when we started documenting these small businesses many years ago, we weren't sharing them with anybody. We had shoe boxes, and like I would buy these plastic binders at Adorama or B&H Photo, 2 independent camera stores in New York City, that you can put your negatives. And we had to buy a storage unit just because we had so many negatives, thousands and thousands of photos of these small places. We weren't showing them to anybody. We were just doing it because we felt these small businesses were so important, and like to us, they meant everything, that we were documenting. I mean, luckily enough, now there's social media and we can share it. We feel like we can make a difference. We can do something to help see these small businesses because they need our help. Not only in New York, I mean, I'm willing to put up something. You know, we've traveled to London and we photographed a bunch of small businesses. If you guys know of a small business elsewhere, in Paris, we've also traveled and photographed small businesses. I mean, wherever we go on a vacation. I mean, not this year, of course, but we would go on a vacation and we'd say, okay, we're not going to photograph small businesses. We're
Right.
just going to be a tourist.
Yeah.
And we're going to go, like we went to
Krakow.
in Poland, and people were like, oh, when we got back, they're like, oh, did you go to Wawel Castle? And I'm like, well, we meant to, but
Yeah.
we started walking around. We found this great old
Cigar shop.
you know, or a meat store, and they made Polish sausages,
Right.
and you know, before you know it, we spent all our time photographing small businesses there. So we might have a photo, and we're willing to put it up. So let us know. It doesn't have to be someplace in New York.
Right.
That we have if you know of a business that's suffering, we're happy to help spread the word. So do that. Contact us for sure. Let us know if you know any place that maybe we can help, or we can brainstorm together. If neither of us have a photo of it, some other creative way of what we can do to help get the word out that they need our support.
Yep.
I think that's the key. The key is to actually shop at the businesses or buy online, whatever's safe, a merchandise, gift certificate, whatever it is.
Yeah, Dave Jeffrey saying perhaps us with social media accounts could do more to bring the food problem to light. Anything you can do.
Yes.
Food problem, closed storefronts. It's not okay out here. It's not in New York City. We see that all the time. And Paul McDonough saying he got food stamps given to me for food last July and August, and then I dropped food of the people in more need than him. So that's a great job on Paul's account.
Right.
Alicio checking in, saying hi to Karla. We're trying to get to all of them. Yep, Beatrice Martin saying network with Action Kid and Mary Jane. We love Action Kid.
Oh, yes.
He's going to be coming down to Florida where we are right now.
Right, and we're going to be live streaming together, and hopefully we can raise awareness of some of the small businesses down here, because Action Kid has a really huge YouTube channel. And by the way, guys, listen, we're trying to get to 10K subscribers, because one of the ways we feel like we can help small businesses even more is to be able to sell some merchandise on our channel. And, oh, come here, Hudson, we have a treat for you. Come on. Get up, sleepy boy. Look, treat.
Hey, Mike loves Hudson.
And we're trying to get, oh, he's sleeping.
He's so sleepy.
Oh, wait.
Wait, I got it, Hudson. Oh, look at
I'll
this.
give it to him.
Yep,
And we're trying
Steve
to
saying
get-
hi to Hudson. Everyone checking in on Hudson.
give us
Dropping
some-
my phone, and Hudson's dropping the.
You're not doing it. Great.
But
There you
guys-
go. So we're trying to get Hudson merchandise, because we figured we could put up a Hudson merchandise and put like SOS, save like small businesses with Hudson's smiling face or something. We're gonna think about like what we can do, and we want to add merchandise to our channel. So,
Oh, thanks, Andre.
we need to get to 10K subscribers to do that. So if you're not subscribed to our channel, it's free. It's 100% free to subscribe.
Sophia's checking in. A lot of people in the chats. If we didn't get to your point, we'll try to address them after
Yeah,
after
and
the
listen,
live
we're gonna
stream.
I mean, I had so much fun speaking. We're gonna definitely do more of these live stream chats, because I think we can brainstorm together creative ways to help small businesses. And also, we're gonna be holding private live streams that aren't open to the public for everyone, but through our Patreon. So for our Patreon supporters, they'll get even more individualized attention. We're going to be doing private live streams. We're trying to figure out the best day and time, because we have some international patrons through our Patreon, and you know, we don't want to have a live stream at a time where they're sleeping. So
Right.
we're trying to figure out the best channel, day, time, etc. But we'll definitely hold more live streams. I mean, I know there's probably a lot of people that had questions or.
Myrna's liking the Hudson SOS.
Oh yeah, so
A lot of people liking that idea.
Yeah, just like a creative way to help all stores, because then it's not just. Oh, I think there's a treat on the
XOXO checked in. No, we're still
I
in
think there's a treat on
oh, I'll
the
get it.
ground that Hudson
We're still in
wants.
Florida. I'll get it.
Yeah, we're still in Miami, guys, and I want to tell you why we're in Miami. And I mean, like.
Alan L saying hi to Hudson
I don't wanna
and
be-
us. He got it.
No, you missed it.
All right.
We don't want to be maudlin, but because of the pandemic in New York, we lost like a lot of our clients as far as like what we do to make a living, which is architectural and interior photography. I mean, either they closed or just like they're not hiring. I mean, they're using, they're just taking their own photos with their iPhone or something. They're not hiring professional photographers because they don't have the money to do so. and we don't have any work in New York, so we got some job assignments in Miami because Miami's more open and they're building, they're doing things. I mean, there's a lot of building going on.
A lot of building, guys.
Yeah, and honestly, that's pays the bills for us guys. So it's not like we abandoned New York. We're going back, but we had to earn a living. So we you know, we're down here for now. We're staying in a house. That's where we're live streaming from.
Yep,
So,
Paul and Marion saying the time works well for them over in you know, the UK.
Oh, good, yeah, so
Yep.
about this time. So, yeah, we'll definitely schedule more live streams like this. I think these conversations are great.
Hey, Patricia Urbanus is out in Coney Island saying hi, you three.
Oh, Coney Island. I mean,
Yep.
we know the owner of Dino Banderas, a Greek American who owns the Wonder Wheel. I don't know if you've ever been to Coney Island, but the big giant Ferris wheel. And the city did not allow him to reopen, even though, which I think is totally ridiculous, because the Wonder Wheel, you could socially distant, because you can only let like one person or just a family into the you know, the little, what would you call it, enclosed car
Yeah.
that, you know, spins around on the Wonder Wheel. And each one, I think, is like 12 feet apart or something like that. It's like, there's no way you could catch a virus, like, if you pass it to somebody
It's a great
else.
family that's owned that thing forever.
And the city would never let them reopen, so they lost
Yeah, it's killing
an
them.
entire season. I mean, they would be closed now anyway, because it's always closed in the winter, and that's when they do the maintenance.
Yeah,
on
they take all the cars down. We did a video on that.
We did a whole, we have filmed that, their whole process of like taking the cars off and putting them back on, but I mean, it's crazy to us that they never allowed them to reopen. So being that the amusements were closed, I mean, I understand some amusement rides wouldn't be safe to go on during the pandemic, but the Wonder Wheel, why wouldn't the city let them at least open the Wonder Wheel? So yeah, the city, it seems to be, like, and I don't want to say it like for sure, but it seems to be like they want to wipe out small businesses. Like they don't care about small businesses.
Yeah, it's hard.
That they want Coney Island to be just big corporations or, you know, I mean, a lot of the rides now are owned by an Italian company called JamesandKarla. Like, it's not money that stays locally at all. That's a big corporation that owns a lot of the rides. But Dino's Wonder Wheel and his little amusement park is privately owned. It's a family, and they've been running it, you know, for generations now. And yeah, so I'm happy that people are trying to highlight Coney Island, because the small businesses there are devastated. I mean, no one, especially in the winter, it's always hard.
Marion is busting up a lot of people in the chat saying her hair is now like a burst couch because she hasn't been able to, because everything's closed.
Yeah.
Yep, Patricia Spadia's liking a tan. Paul went to the Wonder Wheel the first time in July 2019, had a great view.
Yeah, when you ride the Ferris wheel, you see a view not only of the ocean, but you can see all the way, you know, like on a clear day, you can see through Brooklyn. I mean, it's really wonderful. I mean, we will definitely, hopefully, please, Coney Island Wonder Wheel to reopen this spring. Usually it opens for like Easter, around Easter. I don't know. I mean, they would have to know soon, because they have to start preparing actually for it reopening. So we haven't heard about a reopening date, but if they do, we'll be there, and we'll do a special video. There's even a dog day where a dog can ride on the cars, you know, on the Ferris wheel. And so we'll bring Hudson, and we'll all go together, and that'll be extra good.
But yeah, guys, thanks for great job in the chat tonight. We got a lot to talk about, a lot to think about.
Exactly.
You guys did an outstanding job joining us.
In the video description, there's a way of emailing us. If you're more comfortable emailing, you can direct message us through Instagram if you're on Instagram. But in the video description is all ways to get in contact with us. And because you know, it's difficult sometimes to read all the chat messages. Sometimes even when you try to replay them on YouTube, they only show a select few, not every single one. So if you're trying to contact us, we definitely answer every single email, every single direct message. You know,
And thanks for the donations tonight.
Look,
Hudson's dinner time is coming, rolling around if you can't tell.
Okay, he's nibbling, he's hungry. He says, Mom, it's time to feed me.
Yeah, Cesar Congo says, at some point it's like the Mob Deep song, survival of the fittest. We're all struggling, but we got to push through.
Exactly.
And Cesar, if you know us, we're all about that. We're not going anywhere. We're in New York.
New Yorkers are strong. We can survive this. I mean, we've been through, you know, a lot already. And I feel like we can get through it. But
Good job, Cesar.
We need all to band together and help in this time of need.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess we'll sign off. Look, Hudson's nibbling me. That's how hungry he is.
No,
He's trying to-
when Hudson nibbles like that, it means he's really happy. So he had fun, guys.
So thanks so much, guys, and I hope you're staying safe. We'll have more conversations soon. We'll announce them, and thanks for the channel support, guys. We really appreciate it. Hudson sends big kisses too.
Bye, guys. Hey, Hudson. Yeah, look at him. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.